Today we have a spooky, scary one, although you wouldn't be able to tell from my background or anything. It's not scary. It's not a scary background, but today we're going to be talking about haunting moments in IT leadership. So think about those times you were brand new IT leader, or maybe even something more recent, an experience that you had that kind of haunts you to this day and has impacted the way that you lead a team or go through IT. But I think it's also important to remember not all hauntings need to be bad ones. Sometimes it's great to remember those things that happened and kind of learn from those things and have lessons and things like that. So today we're going to be talking about that. But first, I want to introduce both of our panelists. So Brian, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing in IT.
I'm Brian Walters. I'm the IT director at Pinnacle Structures. I'll be celebrating my 15th year here next March. Most of this time I've been here solo, so I've got plenty of horror stories from being here solo, but I've got a partner on my team now, and I even have a story to tell you a little bit later of something that happened a week ago Friday. Um, but yeah, it's been a great job. I get to run my own IT shop, and we've basically grown from just one server on a coffee table to a full scale system. And I mean, we have a great shop right now. I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kelly, how about you?
Kelly Schrader. I'm the director of IT for Colorado Early Colleges, which is a middle and high school set of charter schools in Colorado, and got a team that I have the privilege of leading, and been here for about 3.5 years now. And wow, K-12 is way different from any other field I've ever worked in. But
Yeah.
it's not boring, I'll say that much.
What's one of the biggest challenges like in K-12 that's maybe different from the other IT teams you've been on?
Probably the business cycle. A typical commercial enterprise is, it's on your budget cycles. You have weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual cycles. We have start of semester and not start of semester, and the difference between operations in those two periods is wild. We get more tickets in the month of August than the rest of the year combined.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's soul crushing a little bit. and then, in February and March, you're just kind of like, okay, kind of twiddling thumbs, trying to prove value so that the people who set the budgets don't cut headcount because they're like, what's IT doing? Well, we can't staff here. We can't staff on August. So we have to staff on October and April.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine that is very tough to make sure that you have staffing correct all of the time and making sure that your team isn't bored at one moment but also overworked at another. So yeah, that sounds like a very fun thing to balance. So I want to start off this whole discussion having you tell me your IT ghost story. So I know, Brian, you said you had one recently, but what is kind of the quintessential IT ghost story that you might tell newer IT leaders that are jumping into IT leadership for the first time?
Well, let's go back several years to when I worked at a hospital called University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences. And I wasn't quite in leadership then, but I want to encourage people that are in leadership now that it's okay to have these stories. But I was there only 1 week, and I brought the hospital down. What it was is that I was in the disaster recovery department, storage management, and they had a whole bunch of SANs. And my coworker says, go pull out this drive that I've got blinking upstairs. So I went up there, I pulled out the right drive. But when I got back, he was like, what did you do, man? He goes, well, we're losing clinical systems left and right. And I don't know. I didn't know what I did. I thought my job was about over. But we'd lost systems for about 8 hours, and they finally came back up, and it was due to a bad firmware in that NAS. So it wasn't my fault, but that was probably the first big ghost story that I could tell that I brought the whole hospital down to its knees, but I still maintain my job. So.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think that's like a big thing to remember is in the moment, it always feels so overwhelming and scary, and this is it. And then, you look back and you're like, okay, well, it wasn't as big of a deal as I felt like it was in the moment. And, obviously we learned some stuff from it. So.
Yeah, it was, I still hung on to it, even though.
Oh, yeah, even though it wasn't your fault, but it's still like, what did I do here?
Yeah, I've even told kids those stories before. Just let them know, hey, you're gonna make mistakes in all your life, but don't beat yourself up about it. So.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a scary story, not necessarily a leadership one. When I was first getting started in IT, I was working for a company that did low voltage wiring, and we won the contract to rewire the seed lab at the Colorado State University. And this is a doomsday vault kind of space that's got cold storage and these massive doors. And because it was an active facility and they were doing lots of work with the seeds and everything like that, we had to work overnight. No one's in the building. There's all kinds of weird noises. Half of the building is dark. It was the creepiest work environment I have ever been in. I wasn't actually disappointed when they eventually laid me off, but that was, wow. I don't ever want to do that again.
No, I don't blame you. That sounds terrible.
If I could jump on that real quick. One time I was at my CEO's house doing some networking because the house was under construction, and I was the only one in there, and I heard something. It sounded like somebody walking in high heels upstairs. And I even recorded it. It was like cluck, 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 and nothing ever came from upstairs. I never could explain what that was, but it lasted for about 30 minutes.
For about 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be out of that
house too. So it's like, this can't be haunted yet.
I would be gone. I think I would be like, well, I guess I'll find a new job, I guess.
I'll have to post or send that video sometime. It was pretty.
You should. I would love to get properly scared from that. I wanted to read Adam shared his story in here. He was an IT director, new hire, one of 8 directors reporting to a CIO, known as a working manager since he had 20 years of IT engineering experience. Started looking for other technical experts to soundboard off of for project design and budgeting. Checked my fellow directors, none were IT. Checked with the 20 managers, none were IT. Tier 3 staff, Tier 2 staff finally found a technical person. The T3 network admins didn't know what PCAP was. Hey, I don't either, but I'm not a network admin. The Tier 3 server admins pretty much were Exchange user admins. So, have you ever found yourself in a position where you are the only technical person and you're trying to communicate with a lot of people that are not technical at all? I'm sure it happens a lot more than
all the
more
time.
than not.
Like I mentioned, I was by myself for 14 and a half years here, and if we would have an outage, here I am trying to get things back up, but then I got people knocking on my door, standing over me, looking, what's going on? How you gonna fix this? And they're not technical people.
Yep.
But they don't understand the technical part, but you've got to tell them the technical part. And they're still staring at you. I just want to get up, And then when you finally explain it to them, then that was too much information. They didn't need to know all that. So it's a balance. It's a balance between, you know your job, you know what to do, gotta get it fixed. Gotta keep them out of your office, you know. And like I said, it can be very scary. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. They'll ask what is wrong, and then you tell them, and then they're like, "Oh, well, I don't understand." It's like, yeah,
yeah,
well, yeah.
yeah. That'll probably lead me to one story. There was we had network problems here, so I was here working all that here late into the night, about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. But the CEO was having problems with his direct TV at his house, but he, you know, that was part of my job too. And still couldn't get it up remotely. I said, man, we're just going to have to get somebody out there. You know, I had them try to unplug all that stuff. And then I sent an email out to the rest of the management staff saying, hey, I fixed the network. This is what I did, blah, 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 blah. Here are bullet points. And then he replies all of that message saying, here you are touting what you did there, but you didn't fix my problem. You failed, and see me in my office the next day. And I was just, that was scary. You know, I couldn't sleep that night before.
Mhm.
But when I came into his office next day, it really wasn't so bad. You know, he was just, he got his feelings hurt that I couldn't fix his problem. But later that afternoon, I did. I fixed it direct TV. So,
Yeah, that sounds rough having to handle so many different parts that are not even necessarily in the business, like on
uh,
site or anything like that. So
and that
that's
happens a
tough.
lot in small businesses, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so outside of kind of these like IT horror stories that happened, when you first started in IT, what's one decision that you may have made as an IT leader that still keeps you up at night? Some sort of, interaction with executives or hiring or things like that. Has there been a decision that keeps you up at night?
There was one situation I had at a previous job where um, I had a manager under me that was struggling, and there were a lot of reasons for why they were struggling, and I did a lot to fight for them. Um, did probably went too far. There were a couple points where I probably should have just fired them for the sake of the rest of the team. They weren't in a great mental health space. They were a single parent, um, and I think it would have been okay if they hadn't been a supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
But because they were a supervisor, they ended up impacting the performance of all of the people under them, the job satisfaction and all this stuff. And so I don't regret what I did in the sense of supporting them as a person, but for the broader impact on the team, I I really wish that I would have handled that one differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really tough because it's balancing, empathy for a person and, like
Hmm.
a lot of underperformance may not be something that they are trying to do, they're just
Hmm.
overwhelmed and things like that. But balancing that and the rest of the team who also needs support, it's very, I can imagine it's really challenging
Hmm.
to deal with that. So,
Yeah, I wish I would have had a role that I could demote them to, but I didn't have any openings because I think they would
mm,
have been fine with that without the stress of being responsible for other people's performance. And
yeah, yeah. There's a reason I switched to individual contributor because that's a lot. It's a lot of pressure to
yeah,
put on yourself, and if you're already stressed out, it can be overwhelming. How about you, Brian?
Um, it's not probably directly related and to leading somebody here, but I don't want to say embarrassment to say, but we're still on Windows 2012 domain controller. And my partner has really been like, man, we need to get off of this. We need to get off of this. And I understand we do. We do need to get off of it. But if anybody's ever migrated a domain controller or DHCP, it's not something you just do overnight. You know, you just can't just jump at it. And, you know, I've made the decision that we're going to keep it there for now. until we just have time to really focus for it. So I lose sleep over sometimes because there's some times where I think one day it's just gonna crash or it's not gonna work. And I do have a plan coming up, and I got it kind of goes along with another story I want to tell you a little bit later. But um, sometimes leaving legacy things in place is needed, but it is very scary. I've lost sleep over legacy stuff, and we have a lot of legacy stuff here.
Yeah, there's that's kind of the topic of our IT Horror Fest, like the Ninja One stream that we're having in a couple of days, where that is the big topic is how do you deal with legacy tech? What's the legacy tech that is haunting you? And yeah, it can be a huge stressor and definitely lose sleep over that. But
Uh,
at some
one thing,
point, decisions have to be made. But
yeah, one thing AI is really helping with too is our legacy BBA code. I mean, we got BBA everywhere around here, and it's probably not going to go away. And I'm just really surprised how well that has worked. So AI is taking a little bit of the scariness away from
well,
coding.
that's good. Yeah. Um, what are some things that kind of help you? Oh, Adam, yeah, I'm ready for Horror Fest. Oh, I just noticed you sent another thing. Our engineering team got saddled with a generator check. Ooh, this is a huge diesel generator. We had to check every 2 weeks at 5 a.m., flip everything onto generator for a large building, check and make sure everything worked, and then turn it off. This was in the alleyway of a building that used to be a mall in the 70s and 80s. You had to wander through some catacombs to get the generator outside, get to the generator outside. It took a wrong turn and walked into a hallway directly out of The Shining.
Oh
I
gosh.
mean, carpet and everything. I actually thought, well, this is the headline for tomorrow. Man goes missing. I, I count myself lucky that I get to just walk from my downstairs coffee maker up to here
Yeah.
because that's not fun. Yeah, no, thank you. Hopefully, you didn't find any ghosts or anything while you were there. Um, but yeah, I wanted to ask Brian because you said AI. What are some things that help you dispel any of those scary moments in IT leadership, whether it's tools or people or certain practices that you have whenever you're dealing with like, executives or things like that? What are some things that can help dispel those ghosts?
Yeah. Well, when I first started using AI, I started taking advantage of, hey, do you want me to rewrite this email and things like that? And that helps a little bit, but I realize it doesn't sound like me. So I need to make it sound more like me. But that has really helped a lot of situations where I'm facing a strange situation with the CEO, and sometimes I ask AI, okay, he's asking me this, blah 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 this, and I mean, it actually does come up with the right thing to say sometimes with him.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, these and AIs come and help a lot on Excel problems. Sometimes people just say my Excel's crashing all the time, and they expect you to have that answer right away. And especially my boss, his crashes 2 or 3 times a day, and AI has definitely helped there too, help take some of the scariness away and be able to fix some of his problems. But one of the solutions was that after he runs a certain macro, to close out Excel and go back in because some of the macros are, I wouldn't say poorly written, but they're written in such a way where it leaves behind junk. And AI said, "Have him try this, that," and it's fixed things. So it definitely helped me avoid a lot more scariness around here for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you, Kelly? Is there any tools that you use or things that you do that have kind of helped dispel some of those scary things?
I think one of the things that's helped over time, especially for situations where I feel guilt or shame, is forgiving myself.
Mm,
Um, and it sounds trite, I think, sometimes because like how do you actually forgive yourself? Um, but I think that I've been working on. I'm not 100% successful. This is something that I'm still trying to do, but is to um, allow myself to have failed, like to make it be okay. You know, what would I tell somebody on my team if they made a mistake, and then try to believe that I could say that to myself. Um, because it's for me, it's okay for my team to fail. They do, I do, but sometimes I hold myself to a higher standard that I wouldn't hold anybody else to, and I'd be upset at somebody else holding some of my people to the standard that I hold myself to. And when I think through that, um, yeah, I, it helps sometimes. Just kind of,
Yeah.
okay, you know, I screwed up. That's real. I had an impact, a negative impact. My choices had a negative impact on people,
Mhm.
and um, and I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to do something different, and um, just have to set down that guilt and that shame.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think that that's something that a lot of IT people deal with is that imposter syndrome, especially if you're an IT leader or something. And I
Hmm.
think that kind of goes in tandem with that guilt and shame where you have these high expectations for yourself and you should be doing this and you should be doing that. But, at the end of the day, if you're trying to be the best manager that you can be, you're already ahead of the game because anybody that feels like they are the best manager, they probably also need to work on some things. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a really, really important lesson and kind of something that's overlooked is just like giving yourself some forgiveness and credit for what you're actually doing. Um, so I also wanted to ask in that same vein of things that went wrong. How do you balance learning from the past without letting it paralyze your future decisions? Um, like if, Kelly, you mentioned, you know, uh, an interaction with a previous poor performer or things like that. How do you learn from those and still uh, keep yourself moving and keep yourself making decisions?
I think understanding some of the whys behind the mistakes that I made. You know, at
Mhm.
another job, I let a cert lapse on a point-to-point encrypted link with uh, a
Yeah.
government facility, and we lost thousands of dollars, and I almost got fired, and it was just it was really bad. And what I actually walked away with from that, aside from the yeah, I shouldn't have let that happen, was I took a look at myself and the things that give me energy. And I'm a 70, 80 percenter. Like I'll get a project to a certain point and then I'm like, I'm done. Mentally, like checking the boxes is not something I'm good at. I'm just not wired for it. In this role it was a second set of responsibilities I'd taken on. It was a bad fit. They offered me money and they're like, yeah, we'll pay you more if you take on these responsibilities. And I did, and it was terrible because I'm not good at that. And so I think coming to terms with I the ideal of a Renaissance man, Renaissance woman is a terrible thing to try to hold yourself to. I am not Galileo. I'm not going to write poetry and discover laws of physics in the same day. And so I have to accept that I am good at some things, and I am terrible at others,
Mm,
and
mhm.
it's okay. And now I try to avoid being put in positions where I have to be, you know, the work has to be right. You have to cross the T's and dot the I's. And I try to delegate that as much as possible, because it's not going to go well for me or the people that need whatever it is I'm producing.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, being here mostly solo for most of my time, it's very scary because they do expect you to be that Renaissance man or Renaissance woman, and jack of all trades, and that kind of thinking still has never left the management's mind. I mean, you make one mistake, they think, well, I'm not saying it bad, but they think that you're terrible at that moment. They think you're not good at your job just because something bad is going on at that moment. So I still have scary moments like that quite a bit. Over the years, I just learned to be confident about it. Like, hey, I'm going to get it fixed. We're not going to worry about it. And the employee that I manage now, he's now starting to see the scary side. He got in here, he's gung ho, he's ready to do it. And then he's starting to see some of that scary side, and he's freaked out about it. And I'm like, we got this. I've been here before. We'll get it. Just sometimes you're going to have to face, the wrath of the management sometimes, and just don't ever take it personally. But it's when you did that forever for 14 years. It's like it's kind of nice to have somebody else to help you out and get things fixed faster now. So, but I also got to deal with his emotions too now. And that's just trying to say, hey, it's gonna be all right. Don't worry about it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you help your teams learn from their experiences and recover from those haunting moments without affecting morale? Because they probably deal with the same terrifying moments that y'all have or y'all currently do.
Yeah, with my employee, he basically, I just try to be chill about it. I mean, I understand the anxiety part. I've been there before. I would come back in my office, shut the door, and like, how am I going to fix this? But now when we encounter that together, I just say, man, I've done this before. This is how we fix it. This is how we manage it. So I just try to lead by example. If I stay chill about something and don't panic in front of him, he'll usually follow lead there. And that sounds simple, not easy to do, but it's working for me. Just try to stay calm about every situation we encounter, and he's learning. He's learned that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I think it's important.
It's kind of funny. He's actually looking through my window right now. So he's kind of spooking.
He's trying to scare you.
Probably, making his mushroom coffee. He makes mushroom coffee every day about this time. I can smell it.
I think that's a really great point, Brian, about being a source of calm for other people's stress. That's a big part of my job as a leader is people come to me with crisis, and okay, let's stop, breathe a moment, don't think about the people, think about the problem. How do we solve the problem? And I think there's a lot of encouragement too that goes into that. Calling out the good in people, especially when other people are tearing them down, saying, no, this is why you're valuable. This is why I value you. This is why I'm proud of your work. Is also has been really helpful, I think, to get them back onto an even keel of, okay, my boss is not upset with me. My boss wants to see me succeed, even when everybody else is upset or frustrated or saying things that are not great.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, it sounds like people need more IT leaders like y'all. Beth said, as someone who needs to panic in private, I appreciate supervisors and managers who level set for people like me. Sometimes we need to panic out loud and then gather our wits and go do the thing, which I completely resonate with. I deal with that a lot where I panic and then I have my own little moment and then I do whatever I need to do. So, um,
Yep.
again, nice to work from home, so I can do that in my own house. Yeah, so this one might be a little bit difficult for on the spots, but if you were to have your worst IT leadership moment turned into a movie, what would the title be? And what would the movie be about? I know this one's a little bit tricky. But if you want to start off with just maybe your scariest IT leadership moment, we can brainstorm a title from there.
Yeah, I am brainstorming. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a clever way to talk about the hospital being down. There's been a lot of scary hospital movies too. You know, I can't think of any.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, my scariest moment was when that cert expired and realized that we had lost our connection to the military base. And
Yeah,
I realized that I might be losing my job. But I think if I had to request a movie to be made about that, I would ask Simon Pegg to do kind of
that's
a
good.
like Shaun of the Dead kind of style interpretation of those
Ooh.
moments. And yeah,
Oh,
something
that
a
would
little
be
bit.
fun. Yeah.
Because I would like to laugh about. I mean, it's far enough in the past that now I would like to find something funny out of it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Once you're far enough removed, you can laugh about it, but in the moment, it's the scariest thing that's ever happened,
Yeah.
right?
Nope.
So, yeah. What about maybe scary moments that happened where you had to communicate with executives or other leaders in the company? I know those can be kind of nerve-wracking experiences, but have y'all kind of experienced anything along those lines?
Well, and again, we're a small company, you know. So I mean, and I do things for the CEO personally a lot. But I remember a couple of years ago, we our fiber provider had a fiber cut. Okay, so we lost internet for about 3 or 4 hours, you know. And they came out and fixed it, but apparently their little fix didn't work, so it went down again. And then he had me call the leaders from that company for a meeting. So they come down from Jonesboro, Arkansas, which is about a 2 hour drive. And all he did was just say, I'm happy with you guys being down twice. He slammed the table and slammed the door, and then I'm just kind of left there, kind of like, what do I do now? You know. So I've had those moments where they just don't understand IT, but they get so emotional about it being down that I've got to just stay calm and work with everybody to get everything back up. And the resolution to that was just looking for another provider. So now we got redundant internet. So that shouldn't ever be a situation again. But maybe in a story I'll tell you later, we did have a situation where redundant internet did not help. So.
Well, I mean, you feel free to jump in with that right now.
Yeah.
If you
Well,
want to tell that story.
last Friday, I was aiming to get off by 11 because my daughter was in St. Louis for a band competition, and just wanted to get up there before it started. The day started with people saying, "I can't VPN, I can't get in," and our main VPN tunnel goes through one of our internet providers. So when I went and looked at it, well, that looked like that provider was down. Okay. But when I called them, I go, "Oh, everything looks great, but it looks like you changed your MAC address." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't change my MAC address. Nothing's changed there." But then my whole network started going down. Everything started going down. Local internet, everything was going down, and we couldn't figure it out because it's kind of the trap we were in. We use Ubiquity, and Ubiquity's in the cloud, and we had no internet to get to the cloud. And then even if I tried through a hotspot, we couldn't get back in because we had no internet here. So, and I'm on this time. I got to get out by 11. I got to hit the road, and throughout this whole situation, my boss was standing in my office looking at me, waiting for answers. I couldn't give him answers because I didn't know what was going on. The long story short is that this little device, the GBIC, or I used to call them GBICs, but SPF went out on one of our providers, and it changed the IP address, the static IP, everything got messed up with them. But for some reason, our domain controller decided to go, oh, I don't know what to do anymore. It just kind of fell off the network. And we actually had to basically crash cart into our scale hypervisor, type in some command lines just to get that domain controller to reboot, and then we finally came back up. But that was a situation where even today I still can't explain what happened there. I don't know what caused. We know the GBIC went out on that one provider, but we don't know why that would have caused everything else to go down. So sometimes you don't have the answers, but I reassured them that I would, this is probably not going to happen again, and that I'll continue to find out what happened there. But that one's still keeping me awake. I still really can't explain exactly why the domain controller just decided not to talk to the network anymore. But now I've got something permanently connected to that server. Anytime I need, let's go ahead and type in that command and reboot it from the command line, and we'll be right back up. So sometimes if you don't have the answer, you still got to have that workaround ready to go. So.
Yeah. So if you were in a haunted house, you would be the one leading people, telling people where to go, what to do. You'd be building traps from ghosts and things like that. What about you, Kelly? I know that you probably talk to a lot of people, especially being in like K through 12 and things like that. You have to communicate a lot of things to people that might be unhappy or whatever the case is, especially in August when you said you get so many tickets.
It's complicated. I mean, everybody wants to be communicated with well, and very few people want to put in the work to actually both receive and send communication well. And it doesn't change when people become executives, and sometimes it gets worse. So I don't know. I have as many stories of failure as I do of success, in getting my points across and making sure that people really understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things where, especially with written communication, I have other people read my stuff and see if they can understand what I'm trying to get at. Because how many times I've sent things that I've thought, oh, this is perfectly clear. This is brought down to their level. This has given them the context that they want. And then I don't know.
And then it's just
I don't know. But they don't get it. They don't understand, or they don't take the time. It's like finding that perfect balance. It just doesn't exist. So communication is just redo, try again and again and again and again and again and again. And then you walk on when people don't get it. Yeah.
Miscommunication is a huge trope. I mean, so I'm assuming that y'all deal with that on a pretty regular basis. Yeah. Again, as an end user, I'm so sorry. I do my best. One of my other questions was about red flag that you might have seen, and maybe ignored, maybe pushed off and didn't really do anything about it, that maybe blew up into a full-blown crisis. Have y'all encountered anything like that? And maybe what did you learn from a situation like that?
Every year I'm responsible for signing the paperwork for the cyber insurance, and, I've got to make sure that everything that I agreed on is in place. Well, we had a red flag. One of our, actually, I won't say who he is, but one of our CFO he actually got tricked into an email stream where he didn't click on anything malicious, but he ended up wiring money to the wrong company. So we were thinking, oh man, maybe he didn't have his multi-factor set up or something. But so I was starting to panic. I was saying, okay, maybe the insurance won't cover it because we weren't fully covered. But so I had to get in there and dig it. Okay, yes, everybody's on multi-factor. He didn't click on anything malicious. Basically, he just got tricked into sending to a different account. And the story has a good story. The insurance, actually not the insurance, but we did get all of our money back. And but that was just a scary moment where I'm thinking, gosh, I'm responsible for that insurance policy every year, and maybe I missed something, and we're not going to get paid back on it. So I was a little panicked there for a moment. So I went back and audited the cyber insurance, and okay, we're good. So if it ever happens again, I'm not going to panic. So
yeah.
and that was $40,000. So glad we got it back. So
oof, yeah, that would be a tough pill to swallow.
yeah, the poor guy, he did it. He felt bad, so he had his head down for a whole week. So I was trying to encourage him all week.
Yeah, that seems like a big theme is just encouraging people when things go wrong. It's okay.
The biggest red flags that I've ignored are almost always from people seeking technology solutions to people problems. And usually what happens is I hear a rumor where an executive in the organization they're talking to salespeople. They haven't talked to me. They haven't gone through channels. They're just meeting with salespeople. And when I'm maxed, it's real easy to just, I'll just let that slide. It's not going to be a big deal. They're probably it's going to be expensive, and they're going to say no, and it'll be okay. Almost every time I do that, it bites me. And and then I get we purchased this and we need you guys to implement it, hopefully before next week, those kinds of emails. And if I don't know if me engaging directly would have made that much difference, but instead of letting those things slide, sometimes I think I need to explore the red flags before they get into crisis.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the last question I wanted to ask, it might just be kind of a circling back to, the original part of the discussion, which is about haunting moments. Do y'all remember something kind of unforgettable from when you started off as an IT leader? That is a lesson that you would pass down to others?
Go ahead, John. I got a couple of them.
I don't know. I don't know how much I learned from this one, but I'm going to tell this story anyway. In February of 2020, started hearing things about this virus that was hitting the West Coast and Asia, and so I started preparing my team because we were customer service or not internal IT support, customer support for a municipality. And so, but we were 100% in person organization. Everybody was in person. There were no remote staff at all. And so I thought, okay, we're gonna have to get ahead of this one. And so we started making some contingency plans, thinking about how we were going to transition everybody to working remote, both us and the people who are supporting. And so started putting the final touches on this, and was like, okay, everybody, we're going to get all together, and we're going to make sure everybody's on the same page. It's all clear, 100% figured out. everybody's on the same page before whatever happens. So this is like the second or third week of March. Second week of March. Got everybody into a room. Whole team. We're all talking. What we didn't know is that one of the guys on the team had spent the weekend with his cousin who had a cold. So you've got 16 people in a room for an hour with somebody who's contagious. And and so we spent the first week of the entire 2,000 person organization being remote with all of us having COVID.
Oh my gosh.
We were the first cases in our county. And
oh no.
it was yeah. So yeah, like I said, I don't know that I have a great solution to that, because hopefully a situation like COVID will never happen again in my lifetime. And so I don't have to apply the don't get everybody into a room when somebody's sick. I mean, he wasn't showing really any symptoms. We didn't know what it looked like, but
yeah.
that was indelibly etched in my memory as that sucked.
Yeah, for sure. That does sound like it was not fun.
Yeah.
I remember back in those days too, if somebody had COVID, if you were even exposed, we'd have to be gone for 2 weeks. You know, we weren't sick, you know. And now I think here lately people have been working with it, just shutting their door, you know. So how things have changed since then too.
Yeah.
But one thing now that I have an employee is I've had to learn to let go on some things. I'm like, okay, he needs to try this. He needs to try to do some certain things, and I'd be open to his ideas. And sometimes it's like, oh, it's safe to do this during the business hours. Okay. So he asked if he can go out and move some cables around from an old switch to a new switch. It was only just going to create a blip in the network, but apparently it created a whole network loop. And, you know, people were starting, he was only been here for 4 months, and people were already starting to blame him, calling it was his problem, his name. He said, oh, it's this, you know, he caused the problem. And I stood up for him because he didn't know, you know. But we did find out we had bad cabling. So about 3 or 4 months later, we came out and had at least 10 of those cables replaced, and now they're working. So we probably wouldn't have known how bad the cables were if he hadn't done that. But now I've kind of got to the point where, like, yeah, let's not even unplug a cable unless it's after 5 or before 8. You know, so. So, but yeah, I've tried to give him a little more freedom to move around, but you know, you got to make sure that we don't bring anything down. And he's brought the network down a couple times before. But you know, we got to learn. Sometimes we got to learn from those ghost stories for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Adam also had a really good story. Verify your employee knows how to do things and keep an open policy to help if they don't. So I think that goes along with exactly what you were saying. Had an employee I inherited from a previous leader who was in way over his head, who's afraid to ask for help. So he thought he would just figure things out and miss deadlines constantly. Finally got to the root of it and said, look, if you don't know how to do something, just ask. I'll happily teach you or send you to training, which I think is definitely exactly how it should be done, because I feel like a lot of IT is hands-on learning and things like that. So definitely think that that's really important. It's a really important lesson to learn. Everyone's got ghost stories, individual contributors and leaders alike. So, and he also said pandemic procedures are actually really handy for flu season. It gets colder, use those lessons learned so your department doesn't come out down with something all at once. That's very true. I can imagine an IT team, everyone gets sick. That seems like a disaster waiting to happen for sure. Well, awesome. I think those are all the things I wanted to discuss, but did y'all have any final parting words, parting moments?
I just hope nobody ever has to do a 36-hour network broadcast storm problem, you know. I got another story on that too. Back when we were on unmanaged switches, um, the network, all of our enterprise level printers just started going offline saying security alert. All the enterprise level printers, all the regular printers were fine. Those printers went down, and it basically took me all weekend by myself to eventually find out. I think it was about 1 a.m. on Monday. So I worked on this from Friday till Monday. I did get some sleep, so don't worry about that. But 1 a.m. on Monday, I went way back in the shop, looked at a switch, and somebody had plugged a switch into itself, and that was the whole cause for this whole thing. So
Oh
I,
my
I'm
God.
I'm I'm very grateful now for managed switches, and Ubiquity and showing all my ports that are down. But it took 36 hours to find that one problem and unplugged it.
Oh my gosh.
Everything's back up. So hopefully the days of that are gone. I hope. So
Were you relieved or angry or both that
yeah,
the problem was that simple?
I can honestly
Like,
say I don't get angry on things, but yeah, I was upset with myself for not looking there first. But how would I even known? It would have been. I mean, it was
I
way
mean,
back.
yeah.
Yeah, way back in the shop, and no one ever goes in that closet except for that one time. Basically, found out somebody go, "Oh, I saw that cable hanging down. I just plugged it back in." You know. So, and that happened
Please
one
don't
other
help
time
me.
where somebody plugged our one of our network devices into the phone network, and that brought everything down too. So that one took me just an hour to solve. But
Oh my
it's
gosh.
yeah. I tell people don't touch cables now.
Yeah.
Don't touch-
Yeah. Yeah. Kelly, I like what you said in chat. Had on-call guy dose himself with NyQuil while on call. Got some major escalations that night when he never picked up.
yeah.
Oh man, just
Yeah.
absolutely gone to the world.
Yep. He was totally.
Yeah, you can't be an IT and be on Ambien either. So,
Mhm.
Fair. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully everyone here kind of learned some things and maybe some of it resonated with y'all. But really appreciate your time today, y'all. As always, great to have y'all on. For streams, upcoming streams. Stuff didn't work out for November, so honestly, there is going to be a little bit of break in November for streams. If you have any desire to jump on, definitely let me know. But right now, we don't have anything planned for November, but for December, we'll have a couple of additional streams, or we'll have a couple of streams talking about trends for 2026 and then your IT wish list also. So we'll have those coming up in December, but for November, we'll take it easy. We'll, if you're in the US, enjoy some pie and turkey and things like that. But yeah, in the meantime, happy Halloween, y'all. Hope y'all have a good and spooky evening, and we'll catch you up in the next one. All right,
we'll see y'all.
take care. Bye, y'all.